Kitty in Perth. I was in Perth not long ago. How are you?
Hi, good. Nice to see you. Well, chat to you anyway. I actually met you when you were in Perth, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, good. Well, then good to hear from you again.
Okay, so my question. I have a younger brother, an adult younger brother who is a drug addict, and he went to rehab not long ago, and he came back this very angry Christian, and he used to be, I don't know, kind of skeptical, not exactly religious anyway, but now he's just a really angry Christian, and I'm not entirely sure how I can talk to him anymore.
How long has he been out?
About a month or two.
Okay.
And when you say angry Christian, can you give kind of an example? Because a lot of different images come to mind.
Well, he was always a very angry person, but it's like he's turned his anger towards religion. So he will angrily tell you why other Christians are wrong, and he'll angrily tell you why his particular brand of Christianity is accurate, and he's very fundamentalist as well. I don't know if he's like a creationist or anything, but
so gays are bad.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, he's
cool with
okay
gay.
with.
Okay.
Yes, and he's
All right.
very angry about how other Christians aren't.
Ah.
Okay. Well, that's a weird.
Has he
twist.
actually read the Bible? Because the Bible's pretty anti-gay.
Yeah, he's currently reading it a lot. It's like he's got this daily Bible study. Part of his rehab is that he's not allowed to read any nonfiction, so he's reading the Bible and C.S. Lewis books.
Yeah, that's a little curious, but okay.
Yeah.
So I'm taking he went to some sort of religious kind of rehab.
Yeah, my parents set it up, and they're very fundamentalist.
Are they happy with this result?
Yes, they're very
Wow.
happy.
Okay. All right.
I've never heard of this. You can't read any nonfiction.
I don't know what their deal is. I mean, they were all kind of weird and proprietary. I did have a friend that was not that religious that went into a drug facility like that. It was Pentecostal. And when he said when he was first put in there, it really freaked him out. He felt extremely isolated. He couldn't really reach out to anybody and family, and he was just kind of locked in this facility, and these Pentecostals were doing all these weird, speaking in tongues and having these odd Bible things that he'd never, he understood church, but this was nothing like, he'd never seen Pentecostal. And so he flipped out, and after a while, like he ran away from the facility and begged his parents not to put him back in, but they did. And then he went to back into the facility, and he started participating. And when he started to participate, he really got into it. And then when he got out, he was completely zealous for Pentecostalism and freaked out, thinking his parents were the wrong sort of Christians and telling them they were going to go to hell. And unlike your situation, his parents were like, what have we done? But because he came out kind of a different brand of Christian that condemned them. But after a while, for him, it just wore off. And then he was just like, man, that just messed with my head. Like, I'm glad I'm not out of it anymore. But I don't know, with your brother, it might be that this may wear off a little in time. But I'm not sure if your parents are supportive of it, if it's, I don't know. But yeah, I can see why you're concerned.
I'm still confused about so are they saying the Bible is fiction and that's why he can read it?
No, the Bible's non-fiction according to them. He's not allowed to read any fictional books because it offers an escape or something like that, and he has to remain in real life.
Yeah, and religion really grounds you in reality.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah,
Well, that changes things. Yeah, because I'm thinking if you're not allowed to read nonfiction, okay, you're not allowed to read fiction. I think the first question would be, how did you demonstrate that the Bible isn't fiction? I mean, because
I haven't asked him that.
yeah.
Oh, you did, or you're going to?
I haven't. No,
Oh,
that's.
okay.
I might want to ask him that though.
And there's a number of people who would consider it fiction, or at least
yeah.
mostly fiction. There are certainly parts of it that are historical nonfiction, or at least considered that. But when you start talking about, magical beings and miracles and salvation to other wonderful places, I think there needs to be a stronger demonstration. But none of that has anything to do with your brother's situation. I'm with Tracie in that sometimes this tends to wane, and I can't think of anything much better than just be a decent to your brother, interact with him as much as you can actually stand to, and be honest and saying, I'd like to know why you believe these certain things, and more importantly, whether or not you think somebody else should. I mean, does he look down on you for not? I mean, if he's criticizing other Christians for like false doctrine, how does he view you?
I don't know.
Does he know you're atheist?
He knows I'm an atheist.
Okay.
My whole family knows. They don't like it, but they know. So.
How old is he about?
21.
Okay, all right. Has he talked to anybody about what they actually did to him in that facility? Like how he was treated?
I don't think so. He has some friends that he confides in, but he hasn't really said much to them.
I mean, that might be interesting too, to learn more about that with him.
Yeah.
So
the only thing I know for certain is that for the first few weeks while he was in there, he wasn't allowed any contact with anybody else. So he was kind of extremely cut off from everybody else for.
That's kind of typical, even outside of religious stuff. I'll say this: I understand your concern. I can definitely empathize, and I hope the situation gets better. I've had lots of arguments with people about things like Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcanon and other things, and my position is that generally, if it works and gets them to where they're no longer dependent on substances, I think it's an improvement, but it may not be a huge improvement if it turns them into a terrible human being that is poisoned in some other way, with a particular religious doctrine that is also potentially harmful. I think and I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes a little bit. If I had a family member who had a drug abuse problem and they went in, rehabbed, came out, and were super gung-ho religious, I think I would probably be very happy that they were no longer abusing drugs. Mm-hmm. And while I might be upset or sad about their particular religious views, until there's a reason to think that there's something more dangerous about what they believe than what they were doing before, I think I would kind of just maybe let it ride its course and be as supportive as I can, while still being honest about the fact that I don't share their religious views.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And the advice is worth exactly what you paid for it. I could be completely wrong.
You were there, I guess you know a little bit about what life was like before he went in there. So, I mean, are you in agreement that he was somebody that needed treatment?
Oh, he definitely needed treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that definitely is a factor to consider.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't want him to go back to the way he was before either.
It may be that you mentioned that he was angry before and he's angry now. It may be that what he also needs is some anger management training along with it, which will perhaps resolve both issues.
Yeah, because Jesus was down on, even though he got mad a few times, he preached against anger a little. So.
Yeah, but that just makes him a hypocrite. Anyway, Kitty, I appreciate the call. And since they had you labeled as John from London, I guess we'll go ahead and take John from London next. But
okay, thank you, Matt and Tracie.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation kind of dealing with that. There are, by the way, secular organizations. There's Secular Sobriety, SOS, and others that deal with substance abuse problems from a purely secular standpoint. My frustration comes from the kind of de facto leaning we have towards allowing religious institutions to operate as counselors. Yes, we'll be right with you, John. As counselors and other positions that they may not be qualified to do those roles.
There's some people that don't trust secular counseling.
Yeah.